or you started recording?
Yep, I started recording. My name is Randy Paske, and I'm the chairperson for the Friends of Wisconsin State Park Outreach Committee. And I want to thank all of our listeners and viewers today to our first ever FWSP feature presenting with Jonathan Ringdahl. Jonathan wrote an article for the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks webpage having to do with technology in state parks and how to enhance the experience. So Jonathan, without further ado, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, thanks for having me, Randy. Like Randy said, my name is Jonathan, and I developed a love affair early on with the Wisconsin State Park system. An early trip to Perot State Park had me just blown away by how amazing that park is. And then in 2012, when I wanted to do something really special, I decided that I would visit every Wisconsin state park, state forest, and state recreation area. So at the time, there were 65 properties, and I managed to hit all of them in that year, which was this amazing accomplishment and goal, and let me really experience the state park system and learn how amazing it is, which deepened my love with the parks. And then it led me to the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks, and then somehow somebody thought, it was Waldo Peterson, thought that I would be a great fit for the board of directors, which has been this amazing experience, and getting to work with this awesome guy, Randy Paske from the Friends of Wailusing State Park, another great property. The second state park that I ever went to in my life in Wisconsin is Wailusing State Park, and I fell in love with that park too. And now it's amazing to be on the board for the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks, giving back to the state parks, sharing my passion for parks, and including even being down in Madison to testify in support of bills that get to improve state parks. And I love photography too, and just getting out in parks and nature and getting kids outside. And so that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, and thank you very much for the plug of Wailusing State Park. That's near and dear to my heart as well. Tell us about your article that you wrote and how one can use, if they so choose, technology in state parks. And the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks thinks it's just as important to get out and visit our state parks, our forests, recreational areas, and trails. You don't necessarily need to use technology, but if you're kind of a technology person, I'm not going to say geek, but if you're kind of a technology user, it enhances the experience. So Jonathan, you wrote about, I think, 4 applications that you found useful, and why don't you tell our viewers about them, and then any other questions or things you might have.
Well, I will start this off with that I am very much so a nerd, a geek, whatever you would like to call it. I will definitely own that label. So and some people do decide, hey, you know what, I want to go out into parks and I just want to put my phone down and enjoy and be present in the moment. And that's awesome to do. However, if you want to explore parks and learn more about parks, learn more about what you're seeing, technology is great for that. I mean, I have my bird guides. I love my bird guides. But man, once you start going, my bird guide, my plant guide, my tree guide, my geology guide, all of a sudden it's like, and your pack weighs 15 more pounds, and you're like, and you breathe. Well, a lot of those are now available on phones, so you can download tree identification apps, bird identification apps, all kinds of these identification apps onto your phone, your tablet, and you can use those to not necessarily replace your paper field guides, but to supplement them and to reduce your weight. And it's really neat because these can play bird songs. So you can hear, oh, I hear a bird, and I think it's this bird. Let me play that. And then I can then go, okay, yeah, so like that was a cardinal, that was a blue jay, oh, that owl was a barred owl. It's really neat to be able to do that. Or like, what is that? Okay, let me play that. Oh, that was a little cute little chickadee fluttering around. Awesome, it makes me so happy. And yeah, same thing with trees and flowers and different rock formations. So that's really cool. I also mentioned that I'm a photographer, so I use an app called Photo Pills, and that lets me go, okay, I can drop a pin anywhere, and I can see where the sun is right now, where it's going to be setting, so I can see that in relationship to the features on the landscape. So I use that if I'm really trying to plan on getting a cool shot. And if I'm actually at that spot, I can use augmented reality that's in the app, and it uses the camera on the phone to see what's around me, and then tells me how the sun is going to move through the sky, so I can see where the sun is going to set on the horizon. And that to me is amazing. It's really cool. So, and yeah.
And then you talked about geocaching. I think a lot of people know about the term, might know about geocaching a little bit. It has certainly grown since, I think it has been on the scene for maybe 10, 15 years at least. And It has really brought a lot of people to the outdoors. Tell us a little bit about geocaching.
That's awesome, Randy. This is why I love you, because I was just thinking about the same thing. The next one I was going to go into is geocaching. So I love it when our minds sync up like that. Yeah. Geocaching, you used to have to go on a website, and you could look on there and you could see where the geocaches are, and you could print off a piece of paper to take with you to go find where this cache is. Now, I don't know how many of you have taken a piece of paper out into nature, but in my experience, they always get dirty and wet, especially if it rains. And then you're like, I've got this soggy piece of paper. Well, now those apps are on phones, and you can see where the geocache is, and it will help you get close enough and give you clues to where these are. And if it's something you've heard but aren't familiar with, there are these containers that are hidden around you everywhere. You probably pass by many of them every day without knowing, and these apps let you know where these are and help you find these places. And so it's essentially a modern day treasure hunt. They're assigned difficulty ratings. Some of the better apps tell you, okay, people can flag if there's any hazards nearby, such as poisonous plants, if it's difficult terrain. So it's really nice, especially if you're looking to head out with kids, that you get a good quality app and you use it, and you can even favorite some of these. You're like, oh, I really love that one, or I want to put together this list. Then you can do that, and it gets kids excited, and it's led me to some really cool places that I wouldn't have gone to otherwise. And some people even use them to teach about different elements of where you are, say maybe geology or history or even a personal story. So it's really neat. And some containers will be this small, and then some of them are old peanut butter jars that are this big, and some of them might take you a while to find if they're difficult enough. And there's so much variety. There's little trackable items where you can punch in a code and you can see where this has been. So I think geocache is a really fun pastime out there. And I would just say to anyone who's interested in geocaching, go out, give it a try, and just be careful when you're looking for a geocache. Some of them are placed off trails, so be aware. There are ticks when it's nice out, there's poisonous plants, and there may be sensitive features on the landscape, such as endangered species of plants, or we're going to be approaching bird nesting time here, so just trying not to disturb nesting wildlife while you're out there looking. But otherwise, go out and have fun.
Yeah, I totally agree with that caveats. A lot of the geocaching posts that you'll be looking up warn people about poisonous plants, poison ivy, things like that is around. So encourage people to, it's a fun activity. It really is something you can do with kids. And it has taken you, as it's taken me, to places I have never thought I would see.
Right. Yeah.
And then the last application is, I think, various mapping applications where you can put waypoints in certain things. How do you find the use for that, Jonathan?
Well, I really like those because several of them already have the trails loaded into them, and you can then see, okay, so I can follow the trail using this app. I can see what trails are in places, and I can track my progress as well. So it can help you figure out, okay, well, this is about my hiking pace. Therefore, when you're going to new places, like, oh, the terrain is similar. I know how fast of a hiker I am. If you find something really cool, I've been in some parks and I found some berry patches, and I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna mark this spot so that the next time I come back, I know exactly where this berry patch is, and I can come back to it. Or I go, wow, the view from here is amazing. So I'm gonna mark this point on the map. And from a safety perspective, if something does happen, you can go, hey, I've got my GPS app right here. I know where I am, so that if I need to get help, then I can let them know. I'll be like, hey, here's what features that I'm next to, and emergency personnel can come out to you. It just helps. A lot of these mapping apps have options to download the maps before you go, because, like I said, if you like to get away from technology, state parks are usually pretty good for that because of limited cell phone service. So I say with these apps, if you can download maps for the park you're going to, do it. And it's neat to then go back and you can even share these maps with people. If you're going, oh man, this hike is amazing, or people can share with you, and you just send it to them, and then they can go and they can follow your footsteps. It's the modern day breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel used to leave out and about. So it's neat. It can really help enhance your experience and increase your safety. I mean, I even have a satellite messenger that allows my mom to track where I'm going through that app as well. So I will say this, mom approved when she knows where you are, that you're alive. And so it's
there you go.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I want to thank you on behalf of the FWSP for all that you do for the FWSP, and also for taking part in our very first one-on-one conference. We hope we have a series of these one-on-one conferences to let other members know, and other people that aren't necessarily members, of all the good things that the board does and our members do, and to reach out and help people look at state parks, forests, trails, recreational areas in a different light. Thank you again very much, Jonathan. We hope to see you again and a long time in the board.
Hey, thank you very much, Randy. I appreciate it. I appreciate what you do as well for the state parks, taking the time to get this set up and allowing this space for me to share my experiences with people. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. I'm sure you can find my information on the Friends of Wisconsin State Parks website. and reach out to me if you're asking about specific apps or you get those apps, you have questions. That's what we're here. That's what we do. We're here to promote, protect, preserve, and enhance the Wisconsin state parks. And right, Randy? We're motivated by providing a great experience for you, the patrons of the Wisconsin State Park System. That's our mission, our goal. And if I can help that by answering some questions about the apps that I talked about, I'm happy to do that. So, again, thank you, Randy.
Thank you very much, Jonathan.